Hey, and welcome to Leadershipization, all things leadership. Now, I'm Beth Bergen. I'm a leadership and communication coach, and I work with executives, managers, business owners individually in one on one coaching, but I also work with an awful lot of their teams as well. And my focus is on the leadership and communication. I'm here live most Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Sydney time, which is Australian Eastern Daylight Time, and that's also 2 p.m. Brisbane time, which is Australian Eastern Standard Time. Have you ever filled a silence because it felt really awkward to you in a conversation or a meeting? Yeah? And have you ever wondered how long you can stay quiet in those kinds of situations? It's an interesting thing because many of us believe that silence is uncomfortable. And research has shown that in the Americas and a lot of English speaking countries, about hey Dre, good to see you, about 4 seconds silence is all that people can handle, and then they get really uncomfortable. But you know what? In Asian countries, in many Asian countries, like in Japan, for example, it's more than twice that. So it's 8.5 seconds. It's crazy, isn't it? What I wanted to do today was to have a look at what you can do to use the power of the pause when you're speaking and how you can use that to be really impactful. Now, often what happens is that when we're listening to respond. When we're speaking because we're wanting to get some kind of reaction. If what you do is pause, then you're going to be able to accelerate the impact of your message. So it becomes a really important tool for you to use. Today, what I want us to have a look at is ways that we can use the pause effectively. And some of this will be relevant for one-on-one conversations, but it will also be relevant for public speaking. It'll be relevant for public speaking opportunities. So the first, or in a meeting or something like that. So the first thing is this. I want you to look at how you can pause to emphasize your key points. If you've got something really important to say and you want it to land with people, then pause. Don't make it awkward. So think about pausing for maybe 3 seconds, and that will be really helpful for you. Just to give that emphasis around what it is that you've just said. That was a 3-second pause that I did just then. The other thing that you can do to pause is, or the other way you can use a pause is to indicate that this is a change in topic. So this is something new that you're starting. It might be that you're changing from speaking about one thing, particularly if you're making a presentation, but maybe that you're changing from that topic and you're starting on a new topic. So pausing can indicate that that's going to happen. Obviously, not 3 or 4 seconds, a bit shorter. The other thing to do, and I love to do this, like if we were reading something, if we were actually reading something, we would pause naturally when there was a comma or when there was a full stop. So one of the things that you can do is to pause to punctuate your words. I just need to take a quick drink. Oh, thank you for that. My apologies. I've been a bit throaty, and as you knew last week, I wasn't particularly well at all. So to punctuate your words, so where there would be a comma or a full stop. Now, it slows you down. It slows you down so you're not moving too quickly. Really importantly, what it helps is that it allows time for others to process what they were saying or what you're saying. I find this is really effective if it's a complex topic that you're talking about, firstly, or secondly, if it's a different language, if whoever you're speaking to uses a different language from you. So that's when the pause can be impactful to give people time to process. The fourth reason, and I think this is a really powerful one, and this one works for you, which is why I think it's so powerful. It's about gathering your thoughts together, gathering your thoughts so that you're able to recall what you were going to say. It gives you time to ground yourself. So, you don't want to look silly by going, oh, I've lost my train of thought. But if you pause, then it gives you that time to ground yourself. Also, depending on the conversation that you're in, it gives you the capacity to manage your emotions. And that's really important, that self-regulation of your emotions so that you're able to respond to what's going on around you rather than reacting to it. The fifth thing is when we speak, and all of us use common what are called filler words, things like like, so, and if you don't know what your preferred filler words are, it can be a good idea to record yourself into your phone and then come back and listen to it, and you'll identify where those filler words are. Now, what I quite like to do is to pause instead of going, oh, yeah, it was, try and pause into those filler words. If you're speaking in a large room, in a large meeting or doing a presentation, one of the powerful ways that you can utilize the pause is to stop speaking and actually look around the room. Now, that's quite different from if what you're doing is talking one-on-one with someone or to a couple of people. But if you're in a meeting and you're making a presentation, presenting new information, doing a briefing, whatever it might be, making a proposal, it's really important that you look at everybody. And yes, that can be powerful when you are actually speaking to them, when you're actually doing your speaking, but it also can be very powerful when you're not speaking. So you pause and you look at people. When people are clapping or when they're finishing a discussion or discussing a topic or when they're laughing, learn from comedians. Wait a couple of seconds before you actually start talking so that you're not talking over the top of them, because whatever you have to say will have lost its impact because people's focus is somewhere else. It's also really important that you pause to let others ask questions, to let others talk, and potentially to let them process the information that you've given them. Not everyone processes boom like that. Some of us take longer to process. Some of us need to go away and process and come back and ask. So make sure that you put some pauses into whatever you're doing, whether it's a conversation, whether it's a presentation, whether it's a more formal speech. Allow time for others to process. I often use pauses after someone has asked me a question. So I might be doing a presentation and they ask me a question and I think, oh, okay. So there's 3 steps to this. Listen, pause to understand, and then answer. If you need more time after you've paused, or you want to give yourself more time, say, well, that's a really great question. Thanks. And then be thinking about or formulating your answer. So what's really important is that you hear the full question. So don't be jumping in early. Hear that full question. Okay? Finally, Practice, 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 practice. Practice with those pauses in mind. Practice them on people that you know. See what the impact actually can be. It's interesting because there's so much that's been written about pausing, and one of the things that I've learned in all of the research and all of the learning that I've done about this is that if you ask a question or you make a comment and you're prepared to wait it out for up to 15 seconds, it's likely that the other person will speak. Now, a lot of people say to me at this point, oh, for goodness sake, that's a ridiculous amount of time to wait. Seems so small until you wait. You actually have to wait it out. What I recommend that you do, and this is a technique that I've thought up myself and I use with a lot of my clients, the technique is while you are waiting, learn to celebrate the silence. So it's not about you sitting there awkwardly going, oh, I feel so awkward. Why don't they, this is awful. They should say something, which will create a scenario where you open your mouth and away you go. You will say something. Think about sitting there, just be breathing naturally and actually choose in your head to be just having a little bit of a party about, I'm going to celebrate the silence. If dancing on the ceiling is your music to party to, then be playing that in your head. So that what you're actually doing is you are thinking, I'm celebrating the silence. And that should prevent you from actually butting in, filling that, or what you're calling an awkward silence, yeah? So that's it. Looking today at the power of the pause and how you can use it. Now, there's also the value of you taking a pause in your career or a pause in your workday. That's a subject for another time. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching today. If you've got any comments or questions, pop them in the chat underneath wherever you're watching this. I am so happy to answer those questions for you. If you've watched a replay, please put #replay. In the meantime, I look forward to seeing you same place,